my side.
I really appreciate you all coming along today, particularly considering that this is the grand final, football grand final, which I was completely oblivious when I came to this date. So hopefully if you're interested you'll be able to get back in time anyhow. So I just wanted to say a few words. My name is Sally Sutton. I represent Animal Liberation South Australia. Thank you. Over here we have the lovely Verson. I'm wearing the sunglasses. She will take any money off of you if you want to help donate to our cause. In return you can have some stickers, or you can join us. She's got applications there, and there's also an information sheet that she will be giving out of actions that you can take to follow up this. Some easy actions, there she is, so she's demonstrating it. So yeah, go and see Lisa later on. Ali here, also waiting around, so there's another one there. So Ali or Lisa. We're lucky enough to have Tammy Franks here from the Greens, who's very generously again given up her time to support this cause. So you'll be hearing from Tammy shortly. And we also have Raylene Gubbett, who represents MOC, which is a new organisation, members of the public, not in my name, not in my board. So they have a Facebook site. Go on Facebook and like them. Because it's important that government knows that it's not just animal activists that are against this trade, it's members of the public. And I know that's what most of you guys are, so really appreciate it. So the reason we're here again is because of the multiple incidents of late that have highlighted once again that MOUs and regulations cannot be counted on to protect our sheep once they've left the shore. Despite these memorandums of understanding or MOUs put in place in 2004 after the Comar Express carrying 55,000 sheep was rejected by Saudi Arabia, the Ocean Drover was turned away by Bahrain. This was
Perfect.
Good? Okay. So this is the first time that the MOU had been tested with Bahrain, and of course they did not comply. So 22,000 sheep were left drifting around the ocean for around 17 days until they were taken to Pakistan, which was not one of the SCAS approved countries at the time. That was kind of rushed through, despite what the exporter will have you believe. So we all know their fate. 10,000 of them have been culled, brutally slaughtered. And I know that's what's really inflamed a lot of the Australian public about that. This has to stop. A report from the international news in Pakistan put it this way. Lara? This Exporter Supply Assurance Chain Scheme, or SCAS, was set up last year after the expose of the brutal slaughter of Australian cattle in Indonesian abattoirs. The Australian government allocated $5 million in taxpayer dollars to the exporters to set up this useless scheme. Australian sheep have also been discovered in the notorious Al Ray meat market in Kuwait, same market where Australian sheep had been previously mistreated and therefore was not a market that was approved under SCAS. Joan Ludwig said that the fact this breach had been discovered in this market proved that the scheme was working. However, it took a charity, Animals Australia, to once again bring the breach to the attention of the government and to industry. According to Vail, the Vets Against Live Export, a press release available on a really brilliant website called Live Export Chain. So if you want to know anything about this trade, go to that website. According to them, the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry, or DAF, reported that the rejected sheep from the Ocean Drover were being shipped to Pakistan with an SCAS in place. This is surprising as there is no MOU with Pakistan. And it is not on DAF's list of destinations with an approved SCAS And contrary to the export licence holder Willard's claim of a long-established record of exporting animals to Pakistan, they have made only one shipment to Pakistan since records became publicly available in 2005. The SCAS and the MOUs are failing. And then there's the breeding animals, the Australian dairy cows, left without food and water in the searing heat for a month in Qatar. Malnourished mothers standing by watching their calves die, unable to feed them. These animals are mammals, so make no mistake, their bond with their babies is no different than human mothers and their babies. These incidents need to be investigated by an independent authority and not by DAF. DAF investigating is a serious conflict of interest. So over and over again, we're seeing more and more evidence brought to light that once the animals leave Australia, there's no real way to protect them. So what's going to make the government stop this trade? They already know the majority of Australians are against the live export trade, yet they don't ban it. What they need to know is that it will affect the way that you vote. This will make a difference. With your vote, you have the power. I'll be letting the major parties know that I will never ever vote for a party that supports live exports. It's as simple as that. Please know that this issue will have a bearing on the way that you vote in the next federal election. Our combined voices can change this. The animals don't have a vote, but we do. Contact your MP, your federal MP. Contact Joe Ludwig. We can change this, but it's going to take all of our voices to do it. So this rally is also a call to action. We need you to continue the fight. Talk to your family, your friends, your colleagues, anyone that will listen, and encourage them to let the government know that this is unacceptable and this will change the way that you vote. Okay, thanks guys. I hope you heard most of that. Tammy, who I asked to walk up there so she's going to come back down. Sorry, Tammy. Thank you. So here's Tammy.
Thank you, Sally, and thanks to Animal Liberation for organising this event. This event gives voice not only to the animals but to the tens and hundreds of thousands of Australians who want to end live export. They don't believe it should be happening from our country and not in our name. So thank you for turning out today as well, all of you. Now we can see from the posters around that the graphic reality of this cruel trade is not suitable for children, so I do apologise to those children who are here. However, those children and us as Australians, if we saw what was happening every day, day to day with the live export industry, we would stop that industry. By shutting off the vision, we actually blind ourselves to what's going on. So yes, it's a cruel trade, yes, it's very graphic, but those pictures deserve to be shown and these stories deserve to be told. We've heard, of course, that recently live exports is apparently back in the news. The reality is, in the 30 years, or the 3 decades that we've had live export coming from Australia, this cruel industry has always been controversial. It has never been far from the news and has never had overwhelming support of Australians once they've known what it actually involves. We will see that the government has put in short-term solutions, I believe non-solutions recently, and it has taken a charity, an NGO, to expose yet again this cruel trade in recent weeks. And I congratulate also Animals Australia for that work. Like all of you here today, and those organisations working against this, I question why we are letting our federal government not act to stop this barbaric and shameful trade as quickly as it can. The reality is that, in fact, not only are the arguments against this industry continuing fallacious, they are, it is in fact not profitable to continue the live export industry. So yes, there's the animal welfare and the animal cruelty arguments, but when anyone tells you that in fact we are taking away people's jobs, the converse is actually the truth. We are taking away Australian jobs in the chilled meat export industry. We have seen 150 slaughterhouses and abattoirs across rural and regional Australian communities shut down in the last 10 or so years. We've seen 40,000 jobs lost, and we stand here today with an unlikely alliance of the Australian Meat Industries Union standing alongside us, calling to ban live export. And I'll also tell you that I've spoken to farmers who choose not to send their animals to be slaughtered where they know that they won't be treated humanely, and therefore they choose not to engage in live export. They choose to ensure that the abattoir or the slaughterhouse that they send their animals to has the highest of standards. And those farmers we stand here side by side with today. Live exports is actually costing our economy about $1.5 billion in lost GDP and about $270 million in household income. So next time somebody tells you we're against jobs, tell them that statistics and tell them about the 40,000 jobs lost in the last 10 years. As you know, I'm the Green, oh, you don't know. I'm the Greens Animal Welfare spokesperson, for those of you who don't know. And what I would say is that the Greens still stand in this Parliament and in the Federal Parliament as the only party with an animal welfare spokesperson. So what I would say, I actually think that's shameful. I think it's great that the Greens have that. But I would say, when you call your local MP, ask them why they don't have an animal welfare spokesperson or minister or shadow minister. And that small step in the old parties would actually mean that there'd be somebody in both of those old parties, Labor and Liberal, standing up for animal welfare. Not standing up for primary industry and resources, not standing up simply for the environment, but actually with an animal welfare focus in their job, and that would make a big difference. Of course, I stand side by side with my state and federal counterparts, and the Greens' Senator Lee Rhiannon has actually been incredibly vocal in her criticism of the failure of the live export supply chain assurance system to date. And for those of you who follow on Facebook and Twitter and so on, you would have seen that enormous amount of work that she's put in. The recent images shown on ABC TV's Lateline program of the cruel slaughter of Australian sheep in Kuwait reveals that the Agriculture Minister Joe Ludwig's new live export supply chain is fundamentally flawed. It is fatally flawed. The distressing footage shows that in fact that is not a solution. It's more spin. It has no substance. It is a sideshow and a distraction. It was designed to simply appease the public outroar that we saw just over a year ago. And we need to let them know today that public outrage is not going away. We are not buying their phony solution. Their solution is not sustainable. Yet of course, again, without the resources on the ground, the departments are reasonably powerless to act. Without a shadow or a minister for animal welfare, we are not seeing the full force of government or opposition put behind this cause. And unless, as Senator Rhiannon has said, unless proper regulation and monitoring systems are not being put in place, as this new footage and other incidents since March suggest, then the live trade in exports of cruelty must cease. We must end live exports, and we must end it logically and properly and done in a way that isn't doomed to fail as it was just over a year ago. That's why we've been acting in Parliament, and both Adam Batt, the member for Brisbane and for Melbourne, Andrew Wilkie, the independent from Tasmania, Senator Nick Xenophon, and of course the full team of the Senate Greens will continue to raise this issue in federal Parliament. I've also raised this issue in the State Parliament, and what does State Parliament have to do with this issue, you might ask? Well, apart from the fact that animal welfare, of course, should be a concern of all members of Parliament and representing all of their constituency, who is quite wide and diverse in their care for animals, We could see Port Adelaide take on a new role as Fremantle actually loses capacity in terms of live export, and certainly Animals Australia have identified that that is a potential in the future. So I will be moving again, as I have previously, to get State Parliament to debate this issue, and I call on the government today to ensure and to declare that no live exports will be undertaken from the Port Adelaide ports. With a combination of media and exposés and non-government organisations and great charities, organisations doing fabulous work such as Animals Australia and Animal Liberation, this issue is not going away until we see the end of live export. So having said that, do get on the phone to your local member. It will have an impact. They know that people care about this issue. The Body Shop recently did an enormous amount of petitions and got people to sign in their store, both across the country and in Adelaide. And I can tell you that the Adelaide store had the most petitions of any store in the country in the quickest amount of time. So here in Adelaide, we can see change happen. We know that we have an overwhelming will for change on animal welfare issues, and in particular in ending live export. And South Australia can take the lead yet again. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tammy. And now we've got Raylene Govett from North.
I'm also one of the administrators of the MOP page. Firstly, I'd like to thank Sally from Animal Liberation for organising this rally. It was timely, and I think we all desperately needed this to voice our outrage. Disappointment and grief over the recent unacceptable events in Pakistan. Who continues to speak up about this trade and never backs down. She has done a great job. But most of all, I want to thank all of you for coming out today and for hanging in there and continuing to speak out about this trade shame. I know that you all are with me when I say that we will never give up until we see the end of this trade. You all know the reasons why this cruel and inhumane trade needs to end, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to discuss and debunk some myths about the trade. Knowledge of how this industry works is power, and a good way to challenge the industry and politicians is by showing them that we are not in awe of their trade speech. We need to show them that we are not as ignorant as what they think we are. I believe most of the general public believe these myths, and I'll address them briefly. Myth number one. The welfare of live animal exports is monitored at Australian ports before they leave. This is actually not true. You very rarely find a state regulator at any Australian port to ensure that animals are handled in compliance with state animal welfare regulations before they leave our shores. And if they do attend, they won't stay the whole 2 or 3 days globally. Myth number two. RSPCA routinely attends Port Adelaide to check that animals are being handled humanely. This is not true. RSPCA rarely attends loading at the port. It has to have reasonable grounds to attend. Myth number three. Vets on board the ships are independent. Clearly not true. The vets on board the ships are not independent or government vets. They are paid by the exporter. They are also under pressure to look after the financial interests of the exporter and to not make a first animal welfare report back to back. Already, one former live exporter has admitted that he was not re-employed by the exporter after he made an adverse animal welfare report. number 4, SCAS can track all animals to the point of slaughter. It's totally impossible for Australia to track the millions of animals it exports all the way from here to slaughter. Since after arriving in the destination country, animals can be on-sold to people who will slaughter them in the streets or on-sell them to other countries. Myth number 6. So long as the mortality rate of animals on the ship stay within the allowable limits, this is proof that the ship has good animal welfare. This is one of the biggest myths out of all of them. This is not how you measure animal welfare. The allowable limits allow at least hundreds of animals on every ship to die a slow death through stress-related starvation and other problems. Trying to stay within a mortality limit can also lead to keeping animals alive that should have been humanely euthanised on the ship. Myth number 7. World Organisation for Animal Health welfare standards are something to be proud of. That's what the government touts all the time. OIE standards are basic and minimal, and some Australian ports, not SA, thank God, even fall below OIE standards by using electric shock prodders on sheep and goats. This is prohibited by basic OIE standards. And the last one, animal handlers at the port treat animals humanely to minimise their stress. It's actually up to the exporter to ensure that their animal handlers know their legal animal welfare obligations and handle animals well. There's no routine inspection at the port to ensure this. And I think on this one, but I'd like to finish by saying I'd like to finish by telling you that as a member of the public, I know that this trade will end, and I know I will never give up, even though there are times when I feel helpless. I know you all feel the same, but there are things that we can do. What can you do? Support the mock page and keep abreast of actions. Learn about the trade so that you can discuss the issues with confidence. Support local national actions such as rallies like this one. And above all, never, ever, ever stop fighting for these animals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raylene, and I'm sure we all understand how emotional this issue is and appreciate the honesty. So just wrapping up, guys, the people are going around. Have you given out all the things, Lisa? So if you want to come and get your information from Lisa and Ali, and Animals Australia are selling t-shirts and have petitions over here. And I'd just like to mention that this next Saturday, the 6th, at 12 o'clock, we'll be doing it all over again, because Animals Australia will be having a National Day of Action. And so in collaboration with Animal Liberation, we'll be organising the Adelaide bit. So 12 o'clock next Saturday, we'll see you all again, hopefully, plus more. So thank you.